All right, so getting into it today, we're tackling a listener request, black box versus white box testing.
Okay.
Now, before anyone starts picturing, literal boxes, we're talking about two approaches to making sure software actually, works the way it should.
Right.
And trust me, this isn't just for the tech wizards out there.
Yeah.
By the end of this deep dive, you'll have these concepts down cold no matter your background.
It's amazing how many everyday things rely on these testing methods.
Right. Okay, so picture this. You're at the ATM.
Okay.
You put in your card, punch in your PN, and boom, cash in hand.
Yeah.
You don't need to know the code running behind the scenes. You just expect it to work.
Yeah.
That, in essence, is black box testing.
Okay.
We're looking at the inputs and outputs, the what goes in, what comes out,
Right.
without stressing about the, the hows and the whys underneath.
Yeah, it's all about the functionality from a user's perspective.
Okay.
Like, we don't need to be mechanics to know our car is working right. If the steering wheel turns, the gas pedal makes it go, and the brakes stop it. That's what matters.
So black box testing is checking if the software's, steering wheel is doing its job, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I bet there are different ways to test that user experience, right?
Absolutely. We have functional testing, which is all about, does it do what it's supposed to?
Okay.
Just like your car example, if you hit the gas pedal in the software, does it actually accelerate the action? Then there's non-functional testing.
Okay.
That's about how well it performs, beyond just the basic actions.
Right.
Is it secure? Is it user-friendly? How efficient is it? It's like checking if your car has airbags, how smooth the ride is, or if it guzzles gas.
Okay, so that's black box practical, focused on what the user sees and experiences.
Right.
What about this white box testing I keep hearing about?
With white box testing, we're switching gears.
Okay.
Now, we do care about the engine, the code, the inner workings of it all.
Okay.
If black box is using the ATM, white box is being the technician who built it, who can pop it open, see the code, and make sure each part is working correctly to dispense your cash.
So instead of just testing that the ATM spits out cash, we're looking at the code that makes it happen, making sure there aren't any glitches, within the system itself.
Exactly. It's a deeper dive.
Okay.
Developers often rely on this type of testing during development, ensuring the building blocks themselves and how they connect are all sound.
Kind of like having the blueprint alongside the building, right?
Yeah.
You're checking for structural integrity at every stage, not just waiting to see if the whole thing stands up at the end.
Precisely. Finding and fixing a crack in the foundation is way easier during the building process than after the whole structure is up.
Right.
That's the beauty of white box testing, catching those errors early on.
So we've got black box, our user experience expert,
Yep.
and white box, our code detective, working behind the scenes.
I like that.
But for someone new to this, what's the big difference beyond just, knowing or not knowing the code?
That's the key question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it impacts several crucial aspects of the testing process.
Okay, so if I'm understanding this right, both black box and white box testing are checking for software quality,
Yes.
but they're coming at it from completely different angles, right?
Exactly.
It's like having two sets of eyes, but with totally different lenses.
Yeah, and knowing the strengths and weaknesses of each lens helps you decide which one or both you need for your situation.
Okay.
Let's say you need to test a new website launch.
Okay.
You want to make sure users can navigate it easily, all the forms are working correctly, and the site looks good while functioning as intended.
Right.
Would you lean towards black box or white box testing for that?
Well, based on what we've discussed, it sounds like black box testing would be the way to go for that scenario, right? We're talking about the user interface, their experience, so that makes sense to me.
You got it.
Yep.
It's a perfect example of when black box testing shines. It's mimicking that real-world user behavior, make sure everything runs smoothly from their perspective.
Now, what about a situation where even the smallest mistake could be disastrous? Like developing a complex algorithm for something like a medical device.
Right.
What then?
That's where white box testing comes in.
Okay.
You need to meticulously examine every single line of code, every possible scenario, to make sure there are no hidden vulnerabilities.
Wow.
In those situations, a deep dive into the code itself is essential.
So going back to our ATM analogy,
Right.
black box testing ensures that I can walk up to any ATM, pop in my card, and get cash without issue.
Right.
White box testing is making sure that the internal mechanisms of the ATM,
Yes.
the code processing my transaction, are secure and working as intended.
Exactly.
We see the benefit of both.
Yes, it's a perfect example of how these two methods, while different in approach, often work best together.
Right.
They complement each other's strengths for a truly comprehensive testing strategy.
So we're talking about two very different approaches,
Yes.
each with a specific purpose.
Right.
But this can't be as simple as one being, good and the other bad, right?
Right.
There have to be advantages and disadvantages to each approach.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
Understanding those trade-offs is key to knowing when to prioritize one method over the other,
Right.
or how to best utilize both.
All right, so let's break this down.
Okay.
What are we looking at in terms of the, pros and cons of black box versus white box testing?
Well, one of the biggest advantages of black box testing is its accessibility.
Okay.
You don't need to be a coding whiz to do it.
Right.
This means you can involve a wider range of people in the testing process,
Okay.
getting those diverse perspectives, which is invaluable.
That makes a lot of sense. So many brains are better than one.
Right.
And getting different viewpoints on the user experience could only improve the process.
Exactly.
But there has to be a downside, right?
Of course. The trade-off with black box testing is that it might miss some of those deeper, hidden errors in the code.
Okay.
It's also checking for cracks in a wall,
Right.
but not realizing the foundation is unstable.
Wow.
Because you're not looking directly at the code, certain vulnerabilities might slip through the cracks.
So it's great for like a broad overview, but not a deep dive.
Right.
Okay. What about white box testing? What are its strengths and weaknesses?
The beauty of white box testing is its thoroughness.
Okay.
It's like having X-ray vision into your code,
Okay.
allowing you to uncover hidden vulnerabilities and make sure that every single line has been tested.
Mm-hmm.
This often leads to more robust and efficient code overall.
Sounds pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But it can't be all sunshine and roses. What's the catch?
The catch is it requires specialized knowledge.
Okay.
You need folks on your team who understand the code inside and out, which isn't always feasible.
Right.
And because you're so focused on the internal workings,
Yeah.
white box testing might overlook user experience issues. You could have a function that works perfectly from a code perspective, but is incredibly clunky and unintuitive for an actual user.
So it's thorough, but can be like hyper-focused on the code itself,
Right.
potentially missing the bigger picture of user experience.
Yeah, it's all about balance, right?
Right. This is making me think about all the different software I use daily
Yeah.
and what went into making sure it all works as smoothly as it, usually does.
It's incredible when you think about it,
Yeah.
the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes.
Right.
And it's a great way to frame the takeaway from today's deep dive.
Which is.
Black box and white box testing are essential tools in the world of software development,
Okay.
each with their own strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
Choosing the right approach,
Yeah.
or a combination of both, depends entirely on your specific needs and goals.
So there you have it, black box and white box testing. Not just boxes,
Yeah.
but crucial approaches to making sure the software we rely on every day actually does what it's supposed to.
And now you have a better understanding of the complexities involved
Right.
in crafting a seamless user experience,
Right.
from those big picture functionalities to the tiniest details of the code itself.
So the next time you're cruising through your favorite app or website,
Yes.
remember the hidden heroes of software testing, black box and white box,
There you go.
working tirelessly to make sure everything runs without a hitch.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Of course.
And be sure to check back next time as we explore a whole new topic.
See you next time.